Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to GNR Central. And today I want to talk about how the song Sweet Child of Mine marked a turning point for Guns N' Roses. So at the beginning of 1988, Guns N' Roses was fighting for critical respect amid a ton of controversy. Now, the UK rock magazine Kerrang had recently labeled GNR as the most dangerous band in the world, and it was around this time that the band had destroyed the set of MTV's Headbangers Ball, while a doped-up guitarist Slash had partied with Motley Crue bassist Nikki Sixx the night he overdosed and was declared dead. So in an era of MTV, friendly bad boys selling the gimmick, GNR was no act. In fact, the band was the real deal, like a prize fighter with nothing to lose. So GNR's debut, Appetite for Destruction, would eventually break into the Billboard Top 10 later that April. But GNR's dangerous appeal made the band a very hard sell to the mainstream, where shiny pop stars like Michael Jackson and Prince were the flavor of the day. In fact, MTV refused to play the video for the single Welcome to the Jungle, which depicted frontman Axl Rose in a straitjacket, shaking uncontrollably to the footage of war and bikini-clad bombshells. After a phone call from label head David Geffen, MTV finally agreed to play the video for Welcome to the Jungle, and that lit up MTV's call-in boards, making GNR's popularity rise overnight. But the video's violent imagery, along with Axl Rose's eyeliner and blow-dried hair, didn't have the crossover appeal necessary to transport GNR from its hair metal roots into the mainstream. Now, a different track off of Appetite for Destruction had the romantic overtones to soften Guns N' Roses' image and expand its audience from metalheads to mainstream America. So with GNR on tour with Iron Maiden in the summer of '88, Geffen would release Sweet Child of Mine, which was a ballad that everyone in the band thought was too sappy except for Axl Rose, and Axl orchestrated its evolution from Slash's basically guitar exercise he came up with, or as he called it in his words, a stupid little riff. It was a way of loosening up his fingers into GNR's magnum opus.
The sort of dramatic solo section, just, I think that was, because the song to me was so, I always complain about it because it was so up-tempo, ballady kind of thing. Really rubbed me the wrong way. Even though I made up the riff, I didn't know it was going to turn into... And so I came in with the chord changes for the actual solo part, which for me was the only redeeming part of the song. And right after that, we went into the studio, and we went in and recorded all the material that's the live bit that's on the Lies record. We also recorded some demos for Sweet Child of Mine and Jungle and whatever. And in that demo process, we got to the section where it says, "Where do we go now?" and all that. Yeah. And I remember we had the breakdown, and then Spencer had mentioned to Axl, Axl's like, "Where do we go?" And that's how we turned it into... That really, the riff was like, the riff in the middle section were my main things. The actual chorus part, that was probably Izzy. Any of those simple three chord things, is usually an Izzy thing. That's really the only two parts of the song before the solo section comes together. But we have sort of a synergy of each person sort of having an idea or an input that just to fill that gap when the other guy goes, and it just sort of comes together. And we're sort of like, in those days anyway, we were very easy. I don't remember spinning ever more than one day writing a song in those days. Axl might have spent some time with the lyrics, but as far as the actual arrangement of the song, it wasn't finished by the end of the night.
Now, while most of the members of Guns N' Roses didn't really see how Sweet Child of Mine would launch the band to superstardom, Geffen, on the other hand, saw dollar signs in Sweet Child of Mine, and it was the up-tempo ballad that the label needed to promote GNR's new image to MTV's gun-shy executives and secure heavy radio rotation. Now, rock bands through the decades have tapped into the mainstream with ballads like Journey with Open Arms and Kiss with the orchestral Beth, and GNR was really no different, except that Sweet Child of Mine was never written to bridge the gap or to attract a female following like Poison's Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Now, had it not been for a half-finished poem Axl was writing for then-girlfriend Erin Everly and his own shaman-like sense of destiny, Sweet Child of Mine may never have developed into a hit. Axl said, "I had written this poem, reached a dead end with it, and put it on the shelf." Axl told it a press release in the Time. He said, "Then Slash and Izzy got working together on songs, and I came in. Izzy hit a rhythm, and all of a sudden the poem popped into my head." Now, Rose saw something in Sweet Child of Mine to give it that heartfelt feeling missing from so many rock ballads back in the late 80s. He went back to his collection of Leonard Skinner tapes and studied them for their southern soul, and those roots would be the song Secret Weapon. to chords constructed by the guitarist Izzy Stradlin and bassist Duff McKagan's hummable bass line to the intro, Slash added 4 guitar solos, including the intro and the song's most melancholic minute of tension, Slash's final solo that slithers to a coda where Rose says, "Where do we go now?" Now that was a memorable section added during the recording process when the singer asked producer Spencer Proffer, "Where do we go?" to which he replied, "Just use those lyrics," and that's how that part of the song came together. Now, the label would end up cutting the 6-minute ballad down to 4 minutes and released it as a radio-friendly single in August of 1988. Rose was apparently infuriated when he heard the radio version, as was Slash, who saw his masterful guitar work edited down. Now, following a music video that showed the band practicing in a ballroom surrounded by their girlfriends, Sweet Child of Mine would begin to climb the Billboard's Hot 100 charts, and by August 6th, Appetite for Destruction had made it to the #1 spot on the Billboard 200 charts after 50 weeks of working the charts. So on September 10th, 1988, Sweet Child would become #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, only days after the 1988 MTV VMA Awards and heavy rotation of the video on the network. Now at the VMAs that year, Rose ended the performance of Welcome to the Jungle with his eyes closed, raising his arms to the sky like a pastor, and staring into the lights as if he had a religious experience. Sweet Child of Mine would stay on the Hot 100 charts for 24 weeks and would spend 2 weeks at #1 looking down at the ridiculous bombast of Huey Lewis, George Michael, and Van Halen, and it would be GNR's first and last time at #1 on the charts. So how did the music video come together for the song, and what was it like filming the video? Well, here's Nigel Dick, who was the video director for Guns N' Roses' first 5 music videos, talking about the experience.
I think the actual concept written out for Sweet Child of Mine is less than a page. It will be a live performance. We'll just have as many cameras as we can get, and we'll bring some girls down. If it moved, shoot it, you know. The first time we were supposed to do the video, I think we were actually on set putting the gear in, and the plug was pulled because somebody was not available in the band. Not available. You can translate that any way you like.
How would you translate it?
I translate it as somebody in the band was not available. So the second date was scheduled, and for the second time the video was cancelled because somebody was not available. Of course, everybody on the crew was quite happy because they were still getting paid. And then the third time came round and we all showed up and we built all the stuff and everybody showed up, though Axl was the last person to arrive. And the thing that was interesting was that when he arrived, everybody was just told not to take notice so that Axl could wander around and get the vibe of the place and see if he approved. And obviously he approved, and okay, Axl says it's okay, we can shoot. I mean, I think there's tension on every set on some level, but I think that when Axl walks into the room, there was this sense that, you know, there was magnesium over here and there's water over here, and if the two meet.
Can it be a good thing as well?
It can be a good thing, but mostly it's a bad thing. You should not be worried that the key player is going to leave. Certainly at the beginning, there's a very real sense that he might not stay. And I can remember looking at the monitor and I'm going, this is awful. This is just dreadful. It's so ordinary. It was just a bunch of guys in tight trousers. And then I overheard 2 girls from the record company behind me who'd sneaked up to look through my monitor. Wow, this is really cool. This is so cool. I thought, okay, it's going to be all right. And I probably said, OK, we're done by 1 or 2 in the morning. But Axl was having such a good time, he said, no, let's keep going. So we shot for another 2 hours until basically we ran out of film. Exactly who the girls were and what their relationship with the band was kind of hazy at the time, so it's even hazier now. I believe Erin was there, who was his girlfriend at the time. I'm not quite sure who the other ladies were. They're probably all mothers now.
But at the moment, were you aware that the song
was about Erin? Had some people from MTV in the video. We wanted to put them in the video so that they would keep playing it. That was a very conscious decision. Make sure you get these people from MTV in the video. There's the girl from MTV. Fake focus pulling, that's my DP, Vance Burberry. It's sort of like bribery.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!